Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Thank you for joining. We are in the Bhagavad Gita summary study program. My name is Patita Pavana Balaram Das. I am from the Bhakti Vriksha team. We completed until 13 chapters. We have to read chapter 14 today. We'll get started. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, very nice. So, Gita Gyan, the essence of Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge about Bhagavad Gita. We are going through this from the last few weeks to give a high level overview of what is included in Bhagavad Gita. like like Gopikanta Prabhuji was telling yesterday, if we are saying that we are Hindus, Sanatanis, following Sanatan Dharma, how can we tell that we are following this without the knowledge of what is prescribed? So it is very important that we all know about Bhagavad Gita, learn Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita, and also share with each other about Bhagavad Gita. And this program is to just spark the interest in everyone to take up the Bhagavad Gita and start reading it. Okay, so like I said, this is a very high level overview. If we have to cover everything, it will not be easy to do it within like 18 classes. But this high level overview will give also help you to get a certificate from ISKCON, so that you will be able to, if someone asks, like if you're telling some Bhagavad Gita concept, you know that you learned it from here. Before we discuss about any spiritual topics, we have to say a few prayers. So I'm sharing my screen so you all can say along with me. We'll say together. Can unmute. Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Ajnanatimirandasya
Gnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjalakshaya
Chakshurunmilitam
Chakshurunmilitam
Yena
Yena
Tasmai Sri
Tasmai
Gurave
Sri
Namaha.
Namaha
Nama
Namo
Om Vishnupadaya
Vishnupadaya
Krishna Prasthaya
Krishnapresthaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimati
Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta
Swamin Iti
Swami
Namine
Namine
Namaste
Namaste
Saraswati
Saraswati
Deve
Devi
Gauravani
Gauravani
Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi
Sunyavadi
Paschatya
Paschatya
Deshatarine
Deshatarine
Jai
Jai
Shri
Sri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Sri
Sri
Advaita Gadadhara
Advaita
Sri
Gadadhara
Vasadi
Sri
Gaura Bhakta
Vasadi
Vrinda
Gaura Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare Hare. So we are dedicating this program to ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we have to be very grateful to Prabhupada because, yes, Bhagavad Gita, everything was written in Sanskrit. How many of us know Sanskrit? At least I did not know. We had Sanskrit subject in our high school, plus one, plus two, but we read it only to get marks. After that, we did not even touch the Sanskrit book. If at all, it was not translated into English and also explained in detail by the purports, which give us a very clear understanding, we would have been lost. At least I would have personally been lost. I would not have known about the essence of Bhagavad Gita or the depth that is there in Bhagavad Gita. What is the purpose of human life? Or everything that Bhagavad Gita provides. It is the essence of all Vedic scriptures. And he did not come when he was young, and he came at when he was at the age of 69, almost 70 years, and he took like a 40-day journey from India to USA based on the instructions from his spiritual master, saying that you are very learned in English. This Bhagavad Gita knowledge should be spread across the whole world. Go and spread this knowledge into the Western world. And while coming on the boat, at the time there were no flights, or the flights were very expensive. Even the boat, he had to uh, get a free ticket in a cargo ship because he is a sannyasi. He did not have any money. And in a cargo ship, he was traveling, and he suffered two heart attacks on the way. And had there been a third one, he would not have even reached the like the American shore. And then after two heart attacks, he just surrendered to Krishna, saying that Krishna, I'm just doing this based on the instruction of my spiritual master. I don't know. You take care of me. I'm just a plaything in your hands. You do whatever you want. And from that point onwards, because of the rough sea, he got that. But after that, the sea became so like quite calm, and the captain who has been he and his wife who have been traveling on that ship for many years, they said they haven't seen the ocean so calm in ever in their life. And once he reached here, it was not an easy thing where he was able to write the books and all. He came with 40 rupees, which is or 30 rupees, which in dollars maybe $1 or $2. And he did not have any. He did not know anyone here, but all he knew was his trust in Krishna, his his belief that, or his confidence, his determination that Krishna is going to save me. And he started sitting under a tree in New York, and he started chanting. People started gathering, and over a couple of within a few months or first 1 or 2 years, he started this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. At the time, we were only a few devotees, and he named it as International Society. Some people were making fun, like, oh, like this is with only few people, how this is an international society. But now we see that he had all this foresight of what the vision of what this is going to do. And he knew that he also, in the scriptures it is written, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be spread to every town and village in this Kali Yuga. And it's not in every Kali Yuga, that you have to note. So we are very blessed to be born in this Kali Yuga, and that too at the moment when Hare Krishna Mahamantra is spreading, like to different countries. Some countries are so scared that they are also started attacking, but that's a separate topic. But anyway, Prabhupada was able to bring that, and he wrote this translation in English, and that's how we, being Indians, we supposed to know Sanskrit. We don't know, but at least we are able to understand our roots and learn from there. So we all should be very grateful uh, for Prabhupada. And he made so many disciples, and one of his disciples, very dear disciple of Prabhupada, is His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, from whom we got the inspiration to do this program. He is a senior member in ISKCON, and he is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And he wrote a nice song, "What if Prabhupada had not come to the West? What would have been my life?" So I think it's very heart-touching, that song, but we'll go into the topic. So we are reading this program. We are doing this program by glorifying the Bhagavad Gita from different scriptures. So we'll read one more. Devaki Nandana Krishno
देवकीनन्दनः कृष्णो
Gita Patena Tushyati Yatana
गीतापठेन तुष्यति यथा न
Vedair Danena
वेदैर्दानेन
Yagnatirtha Vratadivihi.
यज्ञतीर्थवतादिभिः
Anyone wants to read the translation?
The son of Devaki, the supreme Lord Sri Krishna, cannot be satisfied by anyone's study of the Vedas. Charity, sacrifice, pilgrimage are vows, as much as he is satisfied by the devotional recitation of the Gita.
So what it is saying is, if we do a devotional recitation, remember what is the qualification for reading Bhagavad Gita? We have to be a devotee and friend of Krishna. With the devotion, if we are reading Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will be more satisfied, and he will not be as much satisfied by doing by studying the Vedas or charity or doing sacrifice, pilgrimage, and taking some vratas, like I will fast every Friday, every Saturday, like that. No, we just have to read the Bhagavad Gita with devotion, and that's it. Krishna will be very much satisfied with us. So we'll do a quick recap after chapter 13. Anyone remembers the name of the chapter?
Nature, enjoyer, and consciousness.
3 times Hari Bol to Achisha Mataji. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So this is the introduction to the third section of Bhagavad Gita, which is Gnana Yoga. It will be so. This rest of these chapters will be very much going into detail, and once we understand these chapters in like thoroughly, we'll be able to answer any questions that anyone asks us about Bhagavad Gita or how this material world is functioning, what is the spiritual world, what is the relation between God and the living entity, and everything. So in here, it starts off with Arjuna asking questions, 6 questions. What is nature? Who is the Purusha, the enjoyer? What is the field? Who is the knower of the field? What is knowledge? And what is the object of knowledge, name? And Krishna answers that this body, Arjuna, is the field, and one who knows the body is the knower, Kshetragna, Kshetra and Kshetragna. And how many Kshetragnas are there?
Two.
2. In each body, there is one individual Kshetragna, which is us, and also there is a supreme Kshetragna who is in everybody's body and he knows everything. And what is the cause of this, the things happening in this material world? It is the material nature, the Prakriti that is doing all the activities. But we, the living entities, are the cause of various sufferings and enjoyment. That's the reason why we get karma back, because the whole activity we have to, so we can, someone might pose a question, okay, if I am not the person doing the activities, if the material nature is the one doing the activities, which is what we'll read in chapter 14, how material nature works. But if material nature is the one doing activities, why is the karma coming to me, right? It is because the root cause of activity, what is the initial thing that is happening? It is our desire. I want to go to the movie. I want to sleep. I want to hit that person. I want to love that my child. Or that strong desire is there. And based on the desire, the material nature, which is of course granted by the Supreme Lord sitting in our heart, will see that okay, this person has this desire, and this desire is very, very strong. And if we really deserve that, then he will grant, yes, go ahead. Then the material nature will take our body and put us in different situations that will fulfill our desire. So since it is all starting with our desire, there is the karma will, due to the desire, comes back to us, and that comes in right away. Like for example, if there is a promotion we discussed, and 3 people are seeking that, and only one person get it, then one person will be enjoying, and 2 people will be suffering. It could be long term, where we are constantly creating obstacles for some person throughout their career and without them knowing, and that will be accumulating, and sometime later when we are trying to uh, seek help, we'll get all obstacles from people who we don't even know. Why? Because we have done. And this is only a one lifetime, but we have to understand the soul takes millions and millions of lives. We have been taking so many lifetimes, and all that baggage is being carried with us. They say that you come empty-handed, you go empty-handed. Yes, you come empty-handed from the gross body standpoint, like the physical hands. You don't bring anything. But we don't come empty-handed from the subtle body standpoint, or we don't go empty-handed from the subtle body standpoint. We come with a lot of karma baggage, and we go with a lot of karma baggage. We hope, I mean, we should always strive to go with as much less karma baggage as possible, and we can actually completely negate the whole karma baggage by surrendering to the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is confirming that in every body there are two individuals, two transcendental enjoyers. One is the individual entity, and the other one is the Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is also the overseer, the Supreme Witness, the Permitter, the Supreme Proprietor. You can call anything. He is because he is the Supreme Lord himself. Yeah. So those 6 questions are Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetram, Kshetrajna, Gnanam, Gneyam. And the Prakriti is in this chapter, all the different elements that constitute the material world are explained. Purusha is the enjoyer, and Kshetram is the body. And Kshetrajna, person who knows about the body, is both the soul and super soul. Of course, the soul only knows about its own body. I know about my body, you know about your body, but there is a super soul who knows about everybody's body. Gnana means understanding this Kshetra and Kshetrajna. There are two knowers, Understanding that is the knowledge, and using that knowledge, we can get out of this material world. Which is object of the knowledge is to know them. Yeah. So and then this is another important, very important thing. Okay, let's say we are not knowledgeable. Does it mean that we don't have hope? No. All we have to do is we have to get the desire. See, I'm saying desire. Everything starts with our desire. We have to have a strong desire to know about the Lord, to know about the Supreme God, Godhead, to know about Him, to hear about Him, to hear about His pastimes. If we have that strong desire, we'll be able to approach, and the spiritual people with the spiritual knowledge will be accepting us, and then they will share that information, and that is enough for us to transcend the path of birth and death. We don't need to understand. I mean, if this is to say that if someone is illiterate, is there no hope? No, even everybody has the hope. All it is required is to perform the bhakti, which is engage in the service of the Supreme Lord through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Sparanam. And if we have the ability to read and study, then it's like a fast track, right? Something that can be achieved in um, like 1 year can be achieved in 1 month, because you have that inquisitiveness. You read, and you also will be doing the same thing that about hearing the Supreme Lord and everything. So now we are going to chapter 14. The name of the chapter is the three modes of material nature. What are those? Sattva guna, Raja guna, and Tamo guna. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And if you understand this chapter thoroughly, you will be able to navigate your life very easily, actually. And this is a chapter you might all be waiting for, because many of the questions will be answered in this chapter, and it makes the life easy to go through the different situations in life also. So it starts off with again Krishna saying more and giving more information to Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Param Bhuya Pravakshyami
परं
परं
भूयः
भूयः
प्रयच्छामि
प्रवक्ष्यामि
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam
ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम्
ज्ञानमुत्तमम्
Yadgnatva Munayas Sarve
यज्ञात्वा
यज्ञात्वा
मुनयः
मुनयः
सर्वे
सर्वे
Param Siddhimito Gataha.
परां
परां
सिद्धिमितो
सिद्धिमितो
गताः
गताः।
Anyone wants to read the translation?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, Jnananam Jnanavatam. Of all the Jnana, this is the Uttama Jnana. Because this knowledge will help us attain the perfection. And many sages have already learned this, and they were able to achieve that perfection. Idam Jnanam Upasritya
इदं ज्ञानम् उपाश्रित्य
Mama Sadharmyam Agataha
मम
साधर्म्यम् आगताः
Sadarmyam
Sargepi Nopajayante
सर्गेऽपि
sargepi
नोपजायन्ते
nopajayante
Pralaye Na Vyatanti Cha.
pralayena
प्रलयेन व्यतन्ति च
Why
vyatanti cha.
Anyone wants to read the translation and purport?
did swimming
That's okay. Yeah. Anyone wants to read?
why did swimming fix in this knowledge one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own, thus establish one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
Yeah, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He says that generally in this material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes is called the transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, the spiritual identity becomes formless, without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness, means variety. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there is no one equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected by either the creation or the destruction of the material world. So, what we understand, Aham Brahmasmi means what? I am Brahman or I am God, they say, but it's actually I am God like. Means, see here, he's saying one can attain the transcendent nature like my own. He's not saying you will become me. He's saying you will attain the nature which is same like mine. And the atmosphere in the spiritual world is uncontaminated, and there is no one in equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. So, which means that we will attain the same quality which is uncontaminated, but in terms of the quantity, we'll be not as same equal to the Supreme Lord. We'll be like parts and parcels. Like just as the finger is part of the body, finger is not the body itself. So we all will be in the same quality. And we discussed in the previous classes, right? People who don't understand about the transcendental knowledge, they think that everything in this material world has a form. So anything that is spiritual should be against the uh, uh, material world, so it is formless. But no, just like as we have material variety here, there is also spiritual variety. The only difference is the things that in the material world are temporary, but those in the spiritual world are eternal. So any body that we have right now, this body will fall off at some point of time, and they will get a new body. But in the spiritual world, the body that we get will be eternal. So that body is what we seek, and in that body, we always engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. Mama yonir mahad Brahma
Mamayoनि Mahabrahma
tasmin garbham dadamyaham
Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham
sambhava sarva bhutanam
Sambhavam Sarvabhutanam
tato bhavati bharata.
Tato Bhavati Bharata.
Translation, anyone?
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
So purport, we'll go to the purport, but essentially what it is, Krishna is saying is this whole material world is, this whole substance of the material world is called Brahman, and the Supreme Lord agitates that Brahman. So Brahman is sometimes called Mahatattva because this Mahavishnu, he comes, like we remember, like Krishna has so many expansions, and one of the expansion is Mahavishnu, and he is completely impartial. And his responsibility is like an officer conducting the office. So he comes and agitates this material world from his force. Millions and millions of universes are coming out, and he glances at these universes, and in that glance, all these living entities from his body enter into the universe. And from the universe standpoint, we think that it's a big bang, and after the big bang happened, the Earth formed, the Sun formed. There's so many the universe, different planets formed, the galaxies formed, and in the Earth, the small organisms came, and and they evolved into human. But essentially, where did the we are discussed, right? The living entity means it's a soul, but where did the soul come from? So the soul came from Mahavishnu's body and into each of these universe. We all came from his body, but we don't know that information. So let's say if a scorpion lays an eggs in a pile of rice, after some time, it appears that the baby scorpions are coming out of the rice. Then people who are going to think that, oh, the rice produced these baby scorpions. But is it possible? No. The mother might have went into the rice and laid the eggs, and that's why after some time it is coming out. Similarly, we can't think that the soul existed in the universe before. It was entered, it was impregnated by Mahavishnu into each of the universe, and from then on we started taking different bodies. Sarvayonishu Kaunteya
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
Murtaya Sambhavantiyaha
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्त्यः
Tasan Brahma Mahadyonir
तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिः
Aham Bija Pradah Pita.
अहं
अहं
बीजप्रदः पिता
पिता.
Translation, anyone?
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth and this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father.
Jai. So Krishna is in this verse, he's confirming. Of course, like many religions also say that he is the Supreme Father, oh God, oh Father in heaven, like that they say, right? Uh, but essentially, it is a fact that Krishna is the seed-giving Father. He, as Mahavishnu, he impregnated this Brahman, and within the universes, he sent all the living souls, and we are taking different bodies and enjoying based on the desires and sufferings based on what we did in the past. So, Aham Bija Pradapita means he is the seed giving father. We all are sons and or daughters, like we can say. We are all basically the children of the Supreme Lord. So now he is going to explain about the material world. Sattvam Rajastama iti
तत्त्वं
तत्त्वं
रजस्तमा इति
Guna Prakriti Sambhavaha
गुणा
गुणाः
प्रकृतिसम्भवाः
प्रकृतिसम्भवाः
Nivadnanti Mahabaho
बध्नन्ति
बध्नन्ति
महाबाहो
महाबाहो
Dehe Dehinamavyayam.
देहे देहिनमव्ययम्
देहिनमव्ययम्.
Translation, anyone?
Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
Okay. So this is a simple thing you can remember. Anything that is going on in this material world can be explained with this verse. In this material world, there are only three things we need to know: mode of goodness, sattvam; mode of passion, rajas; mode of ignorance, tamas. Any activity, any thought process, or like anything that is happening here is categorized in these three modes only. And this whole material world that we are discussing, this whole nature, is controlled by the three modes. If we remember
of your stuff, okay?
if we remember this, if we remember this picture, so it's like Krishna is the director, the doer is the three modes of material nature, and we are just the bodies are being like played by the three modes here. And in each of this body, the soul is sitting, and how it is sitting based on our desires. If we want to go to war, right, we will be put in a soldier's body. If we have the desire or next life, or I have to desire to fight always, then in the next life we will get a body of a soldier, or where we get the opportunity to kill. Or if we want to get things without uh, take away things from others without their consent, we might be put in a body of a thief. But if we want to help everyone, we are very compassionate, then we might be put in a body with lot of riches and also a nice heart, where we do in charity. But if we want to understand about God more and more and more, we discuss, right? Suchinam Srimatam Dehe. Like we'll also put in a family of um, like Brahmanas or learned Vaishnavas. But essentially, this is all controlled by the three modes: mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, and that is what everything in this material world is. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात्
मिलत्वत्
prakashakam anamayam
प्रकाशकम्
प्रकाशकम्
अनामयम्
अनामयम्
sukasangena badnati
सुखसङ्गेन
सुखसङ्गेन
बध्नाति
बध्नाति
gnana sangena chanaga.
Gnanasangeena
Gnanasangeena
Chanaga.
Chanaga.
Translation, anyone?
O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, out of these three modes, the name itself says that Sattva Guna means the mode of goodness is illuminating, means it will take us more and more closer towards the supreme destination. And it also has the ability to free us from the sinful reactions. Any past deeds that we did, if we are engaged in the mode of goodness, those reactions will go away. And but then there is a problem with this mode also. So anything we have to understand, these three modes will have a corresponding quality, which will tell us what happens to us, and it also has the binding factor, which means any of these three modes we do, it will also keep us bound to this material world. And what is the binding factor for this? It is the happiness, the sense of enjoyment. If we know a lot of knowledge, we get happy. Oh, I'm this great person. Like I know a lot of knowledge. Or we get pride. See, I know more than other people. So those we have to be very careful with this mode of goodness. And examples given are this: a brahmana is the one who always works for the upliftment of the society. So he comes closer and closer to the Supreme Lord. And but there are similar people like scientists, philosophers, and poets. They also work towards uh, the betterment of the society. But we see so many scientists and philosophers and poets, they have this pride and they have this self satisfaction. I know a lot, or I am great. They get Nobel Prize and they feel ecstatic and they feel overjoyed. And so that is very dangerous because that will also keep us in the material world. And the other two modes are very easy to understand. It's not really difficult to see why they are going to bind us. Let's see what those are. Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi
Rajo Ragat
Ragatmakam Viddhi
Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam
Trishna
Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam
Tannivadnati Kaunteya
Tannibadnati Kaunteya
Karma Sangena Dehinam.
Karma Sangena Dehinam.
Translation, anyone?
The mode of passion is born of unlimited desire and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound of material fruitive actions.
Thank you, Mataji. So 90%, maybe 85 to 90, like as the Kali Yuga is progressing, a lot of people are in the mode of ignorance, but essentially most of the people are in the mode of passion. Means we hanker, so many desires we have. We want pride, so respect, honor, and glory in the society. We want people to say great things about us, and we also want a beautiful spouse, nice husband, or a nice wife. We want very nice and educated children. We want a nice family, house, car. These desires are uh, not bad, but at the same time, if we are constantly thinking of those only always, then there is no time that we are dedicating, and it will we perform so many activities. Fruitive actions means they will bring us results. Means it will bring us karma that we have to take. So it will be bound in this material world again and again and again. We'll see the destinations of the people of these three modes: mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. But essentially, mode of passion is the word itself says passion. I have people will say you have to have a passion for something. Initially, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we all think that yes, or reading Bhagavad Gita, we think that yes, I need to have a passion about something. But if we have that strong passion, we'll be running after that, and we'll be losing lot of time, valuable time in not engaging in spiritual activities. So passion is required, but it is kind of not required, but it is in the material world. We all have a lot of passions. We should try to regulate them. Let's see what the tamoguna is. Tamastva ajnanajam viddhi
Tamastva Agnanajam Viddhi
mohanam sarvadehinam dehinam
Mohanam Sarvadehinam
pramadalasya nidravis
Pramadal
Madalasya Nidrabhis
tannibadnati bharata.
तन्निबध्नाति भारत.
Translation, anyone?
O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul.
Yeah. So you can think of this mode of ignorance as maddened by the passion. Like means like completely opposite to goodness. There is no quality of goodness. There is no good qualities, no good behavior. No matter what, I'm going to get my desire fulfilled. Means taking wrong steps. And there is no disregard, there is complete disregard for spiritual injunctions. Means like this purpose of human form of life is this. I don't care. I'm busy. I want to do this. Because we all have passions, right? But if the things don't happen, we are not too agitated. At least like if we want all a big house, even if we get a small house, we are not agitated. But some people, they are like, no matter what, I'm going to do the wrong things. I'm going to take the wrong path. I'm going to do illegal stuff, and I'm get going to get money, and so all the good qualities are gone down the drain. Or it also denotes for people who are, yeah, mad for material desires, but people who are also lazy, means who don't know why they are in this world. They are always sleeping, too much sleep, and they are addicted to intoxicants like alcohol, cigarettes, wasting their life basically. So those people are in the mode of ignorance. And if we see anything in this world is these three modes only. We see good people, we see people who are very passionate, running after the desires, but at the same time not as demoniac. But there are people who are like don't have any passions, don't have any desires. Their desire is I'm not saying they don't have they have desires. Their desire is to only sleep, not care for anyone, and at the same time do all the wrong stuff. So um, is it like the three buckets or three things? Is it like someone we stamp, okay, you are in the mode of goodness, you are in the mode of passion, you are in the mode of ignorance? No, it's like a spectrum. Rajas, tamas, chadi, bhuya,
रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय
chabi, bhuya, sorry. Sattvam bhavati bharata,
सत्वं भवति भारत.
rajas, sattvam, tamaschaiva,
रजःसत्त्वं तमश्चैव
tamah, sattvam, rajas, tata.
तमः सत्त्वं रजस्तथा.
Translation, anyone?
Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
So in everybody's body, it's not like this person is mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. These three modes are always fighting within us. Sometimes we are good, sometimes we are passionate, sometimes we are lazy and ignorant, and sometimes also doing the stuff we did, think back and say, why did I do that? So, uh, so we all have to. That's why it goes back to the desire. We all have to purify our desires. Every time we do a wrong thing, it's not like a end of the world, but we have to reflect. Okay, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Because I had this desire, or maybe like that was the carry on from the things I have did in the past. So, but whatever happened, happened. Going forward, my desires would be always the things doing in the mode of goodness only, which is no, read Bhagavad Gita or do switch, take some steps towards self-realization. Okay, there are some responsibilities that I have to take care. Yes, let's do that. Let's take care of the kids. Let's take care of the family. Build a house. But don't get. There is a Isha Upanishad great verse. It says that Isha Vashyamidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tektvena Bhunchita Magruda Tasya Siddhanam. Means everybody in this world is given a quota of things that they can accomplish or they can consume. And if we consume more than what is required, then we are stealing. Because if we are given $2, and if you consume more than $2, then where is that coming from? You're taking it from someone, right? So we always have to know where is the limit, and we cannot keep on hankering, hankering, hankering. At one point, we have to just balance and then take the path of self-realization. यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृत् यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु
यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु
प्रलयं याति देहभृत्
प्रलयं याति देहभृत्
तदोत्तमविदां लोकान्
तदोत्तमविदां लोकान्
अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते
अमलान्
Amalan
प्रतिपद्यते
pratyate.
रजसि प्रलयं गत्वा
Rajasi
रजसि प्रलयं
pralayam
गत्वा
gatva.
कर्मसङ्गिषु जायते
Karma
कर्मसङ्गिषु जायते
जायते
तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि
तथा
तथा
प्रलीनस्तमसि
प्रलीनस्तमसि
मूढा योनिषु जायते.
मूढा
मूढा
योनिषु
योनिषु
जायते
जायते.
So let's see now what happens like if we are in the different modes, right? What happens to the destination of that soul? We'll see. Anyone wants to read the translation?
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So now it is clearly explained, right? So are there heaven and hell? Yes, it is. There are different planetary systems. We might we know the multi dimensions, right? So we can think that as the analogy. But essentially, this whole material world, this one universe, is actually divided into 14 planetary systems, all the way from Brahmaloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Bhurloka, and going all the way to Patalaloka. So we on the earthly planet are in the middle planetary system. There are 7 planetary systems up and I think 8, so 7 and 6 planetary up and 7 planetary systems down. And this human form of life is an opportunity that we got as a loophole you can think of to get out of this material world. It is not easy, or it is very, very difficult to get out from the material world from higher planetary systems as well as from the lower planetary systems, because in the higher planetary systems there is so much enjoyment. Like if you are going to a pub where there is loud music, and if you want to think of something, no, the music is in your ears, or people are coming and falling on you, or they are putting drinks in front of you. So you can't expect to go into pub and say, I will be like taking self-realization. No. Similarly, you are going into a place of misery where there is so much, like people are suffering in the jail, right? There is so much misery from coming from all directions there. Or even if somebody is suffering in a hospital, at the time, is it possible to say that, oh, I'm going to do some service and then get out? No, it is not possible. So just similarly, this in the middle planetary system, there is a balance of both happiness and miseries. And in that balance, people will get a thought, why is this happening to me? And that's why this people who are born in the earthly planet in the human form of life are very, very fortunate, so that they get the opportunity to ask what is the purpose of this human form of life and why have I get out. And if in that process, if they are engaged in the mode of goodness or doing all pious activities, good deeds, poets, scientists, and doing for the welfare of the society, after their life ends, they will get an opportunity to enjoy for many, many years in the higher planetary system. But Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti, we read in chapter 7, right? Or 8, which is you go into a pub or like a Chuck E. Cheese, you will be given only a specific amount of time. After that, you have to fall down. So until our pious credits are over, we can stay in the higher planetary systems. But once they are over, we have to again come to the earthly planet, and then we have to go through this evolution, like single-celled animal, like again going into grass, then small animals, then big animals, and finally, after many many births, we'll get into a human form again. In other case, if we are engaged in the mode of passion, yeah, we might be taking life again in human form of life, or somewhere in as an animal form in the within the human society, and we'll be taking our sufferings that are there. But if we are engaged in the mode of ignorance, we have to understand that this is the one that will cause us demotion, which is we'll fall either into the lower planetary systems, or we'll also fall into the animal kingdom for sure. So at least what we have to do is, if we are continuing in the mode of passion, don't convert into mode of ignorance. Means if you have so many passions, so many desires, if those did not get fulfilled, don't struggle to get them done. Don't take the wrong path. At the same time, don't be lazy. If and yeah, when I say we all should have some passions, it is just to avoid that laziness. If we don't have any passions, sometimes we feel like, okay, what is this? Okay, I will sleep for more time. But you have at least some passion. Make that passion as a good passion, which is I want to do something for the society, like the crawl, walk, run we saw in chapter 12. I want to do something for the society, or I want to do something for my body. I want to make it fit, or by meditation, or I want to know, become a knowledgeable person and disseminate this knowledge about the Vedas. I want to learn Vedas. Have that kind of passion. Don't have passions like I want to build a huge house so that everybody will be thinking great about me, or like that. So purify your passions, stay away from ignorance, and always try to engage in the goodness, which is do good activities. Then uh, the the mode of goodness has an advantage. If we are always engaged in the mode of goodness, goodness will take us to that mode of so we might ask, okay, these three modes are there in the material world, which is mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. What is that mode in the spiritual world? Are those three modes present there? No, in the spiritual world it is called Vishuddha Sattva, means pure goodness. So if we are trying to engage always in the mode of goodness, we will be able to engage in the Vasudeva Sattva or the Vishuddha Sattva, which is taking us into transcendence. These might be appearing as a little advanced topics, but for now we can focus on these three modes. Okay, so what on a high level summary and some of the other things we discussed is mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. Mode of goodness will develop real knowledge, which is knowledge about the spiritual world. The more and more we engage in goodness, the more and more we'll understand more about the spiritual knowledge. It will be, if we are in the mode of passion, we might not understand the spiritual topics right away, but as and when we keep doing more and more activities in goodness, then our knowledge will start revealing. If we are engaged in more and more passion, the greed keeps on developing. I want more, I want more, I want more. Like, is there an end to that? No. And if we are doing in the mode of ignorance, we become foolish, we become mad after the things, and we are finally also covered by illusion, Maya, more and more illusion, means lack of knowledge. And what is the binding force? Means is there a problem with this each of these modes that will keep us in the material world? Yes. For goodness, you have the sense of happiness, satisfaction, sense of pride, knowledge, superiority complex. All those will bind us into this material world. So as and when we do more and more goodness activities, these things will develop, but we have to be very controlled. We should not be too much satisfied, or we should not think that I am a great person, I have so much knowledge, or we should not think that I'm superior to others like that. Once we do that, then again we are stuck here. And passion, it's very straightforward. We can understand that more and more activities we are doing, more and more karma will come. So it will attach, bind us to the material world, just like the ropes are tying us. Uh, it's called the bandha, bhava bandhanas, means like the ropes of material world. And if we are ignorant, it leads us to madness, laziness, and sleep. And characteristics is knowledge, no sinful reactions. We see here the if we don't have these sense of happiness, satisfaction, superiority, the sins will not be there. Sins will go away, and we'll also be developing knowledge. And this one for the passion is unlimited desires, great achievement, fruitive, great attachment, means we are so much attached to the results, those things. And this one will lead to delusion, darkness, madness, inertia, and the result we saw pious activities. Misery means more and more misery will come by passion, because we think that we have a nice car, we are sitting in the car, it's stuck in traffic jam, all that happiness will go away. We are start cursing other people. Why is it people not moving like that? What happened to the like the happiness that we got with the car? No, so it's not, it's gone. But if we are in the mode of ignorance, it's complete foolishness. Then Krishna is saying, that's why Arjuna, there is this three modes. We need to be careful with these three modes. Each of them also have the ability to bind, especially the mode of passion and ignorance will completely bind us, but the mode of goodness can also bind us. Then what is the living entity has to do? When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material nature, transcend means going above. he can become free from birth, death, old age, and disease and other distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Once we go above these three modes, which is what I was telling, the Vishuddha Sattva means the pure goodness, then we'll be able to uh, overcome birth, death, old age, and disease. What are these? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. These are the four problems of material existence. Anybody in this material world will have these four problems. But if we transcend, then we'll be liberated in the current life only. That's what Krishna is saying. If we are always engaged in the Vishuddha Sattva means always engaged in devotional service. That what Arjuna is asking, how can we transcend? Then Krishna is going to reveal. Arjuna inquired, "Oh my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one is known to have transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes?" He asked three questions. How can we see someone and say that they have transcended these three modes? What is their behavior? How they behave, and how does he? How did he transcend these three modes? And so the first and second question we can read Bhagavad Gita later. There are detailed explanation, but for the interest of time, we are going to see how we can transcend the three modes. Krishna is saying, "Mam chayo avyabhicharena
Mamchayo
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 Avyabhichare
Charena
bhakti yogena sevate
Bhakti
Bhakti
Yogena
Bhakti
Yogena
Sevate
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 sagunan samatitya
Sagunan
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 Samatirthaitan
Samatitya
Samatityan
brahma bhuyaya kalpate."
Brahma
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 Bhuyaya
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 Kalpate.
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 Translation, anyone?
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Jai, thank you, Prabhuji. So basically, the easy way to achieve that Suddha Sattva or Vishuddha Sattva or the mode of pure goodness, which is transcendental to these three modes, is Bhakti Yogena Sevate, by rendering service, by full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. Then we come to the Brahma Bhuta stage, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Brahma Bhuta stage means our Aham Brahmasmi stage, which is Aham Brahma means our soul is Brahman. We reach that stage and we are no longer bound by this material world. And Prabhupada is explaining further. As explained before, the material world is acting under the spells of modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by these activities of the mode of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. So there are so many miseries that this material world is creating, but we should not be disturbed by those. Instead, we have to have constant focus, constant determination, dedication towards getting out of these modes. By how? By engaging in Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna but his different plenary expansions such as Rama and Narayana. He has innumerable expansions. One who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna or his plenary expansions is considered to be transcendentally situated. So what we can understand is when we say Krishna, we are referring to all the expansions of Krishna. Rama, Narayana, Govinda. Govinda is Krishna, like Venkateshwara, Narsimha, any Vishnu Tattvas you can think of. They have the same potency. And if we are engaged in any of their service, the result is will be transcendentally situated. One should also note that all forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, and full of knowledge and eternal. Every form of Krishna is Sachitananda Vigraha, means Sat means eternal. Chit means full of knowledge. Ananda means blissful. And it is fully transcendental, means those three things don't have a tinge of material contamination in them. So we all will be able to get that Sachitananda Rupa. Means once we go into the spiritual world, our knowledge will be fullest, will be completely eternal, and will be fully blissful. And the process is very easy. We don't have to study these Vedic scriptures or bend our body in different shapes or sit and read Vedas for many lifetimes or worry about am I doing the right thing in the society. Instead, we just yat karosi yadasnasi yat juhosi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusham adarpanam 9.27, which says that whatever you do, we do it as an offering to Krishna, and then we are doing Krishna's activities, then we'll be able to transcend. Such personalities of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. So, if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, Although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them very easily. And I remember saying in a previous verse, previous class, this whole material world is an ocean, and we are trying to swim very hard. But in Bhagavatam, it is said, if we take the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna or any of his expansions, this whole material world becomes so small that it becomes as small as the water that is in the footprint of a calf. A calf is a small cow, right? And when it is walking in muddy water, it makes a small impression. How much water is stored in there? How easy it is to cross over that. If we take the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, crossing this material world is becomes so easy. And so many processes we have discussed, and one of the easiest is so think of it, right? If I am telling that, oh, you have to fast once a day, once a week, or sacrifice one meal a day, or go to temple and you have to donate $100 every week, or in India, 1,000 rupees every week, and you have to build big schools, hospitals, and if you have to just sacrifice your family relations, go to a forest, and don't even worry about your what's happening to your kids, and don't make even a single mistake at work. Uh, and if I'm putting all these conditions in, say only then you will get liberation, how difficult it is. On the other hand, we are in this age and time when the Hare Krishna moment is happening, when Krishna is saying, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama eva kevalam kalau nasteva 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 gataranita. Means all we have to do is take shelter of the holy name. Means don't fast, or don't leave your meals, don't have to leave your family. Just sit in one place, take the chanting beads, do the chanting of the holy name, and you'll get liberated. How difficult it is. And if some process is made so easy, and if we don't take it up, then who is it to blame? Us ourselves, right? And next life, when we come and see that, oh, we got this great opportunity, and we see the suffering, and then actually, yeah, we at one point when we are doing this devotional service, we'll be able to get more and more knowledge, and sometimes if our desire is strong, we'll also be able to recollect the past lives. And people who come to the Krishna consciousness and get this opportunity to recollect, they feel like, why I took this long to take this Krishna consciousness, why I spent so much time not chanting, I should have done this many lifetimes before. And Krishna is saying that Bahunam Janmanamante Gnanavan Mam Prapatyate Vasudeva Saramviti Samahatma Sudurlavaha, means it takes millions and Bahuna, many lifetimes for us to come to the understanding that Vasudeva Saramviti, that Vasudeva is the supreme, and and that Mahatma is very rare to find. And we are all Mahatmas because we at least took these steps, and we should solidify it that we don't want to be Mahatmas only for 1 hour, or like 2 hours, or half a day, or like that. We want to be Mahatmas always, and if we make that becoming a Mahatma as a practice, then we are back home, back to Godhead by the time we take the final test at the end of the life. So we'll see what is the glory. Anyone wants to read the um, translation of this?
In the practice of Krishna consciousness, the devotee engages all the gates, the whole body, to reach the state of pure goodness. For example, the devotee uses the eyes and ears to read and hear the scriptures, the nostrils to smell flowers offered to the Lord, and the mouth to taste food offered to the Lord, and to chant the Maha Mantra, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
So when people are generally reading anything, right, and when the Hare Mahamantra comes, everybody also repeats because that gives one additional opportunity for them to say the Mahamantra. So that's typically what all the devotees do. So what is mentioned in this verse, that if a devotee always engages all the senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. Eyes, we used to see the picture of the nice, beautiful picture of the Lord, and to also read the scriptures, and ears to hear about the scriptures. And if we are sitting in the puja room or in the near the altar, we can smell the flowers, we can smell the incense, and we use the mouth to chant the mantra, and we can also taste the nice food offered by to the Supreme Lord. With all these things, our will be more and more spiritualized. Okay. Any questions before we close today's session?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Actually, in the 13th chapter, actually, if you see, like, I mean, the Kshetra is the body, Kshetragna is Krishna, and Purusha is the Prakriti is the agent, or the Katrutva is the doer. Bhoktrutva is the Lord, the Parmeshwara. So where are we actually in all of this? I don't think we are there anywhere in this, because everything is occupied. There is someone else doing it. We are not really doing anything. So where are we in all of this?
That's what we read right in chapter 3. The Kshetragna is both us and the Supreme Lord.
No, Kshetragna is I am. If you take the 14.2, if you take 14.2, Sarva.
So
One second.
we are here means like I am here speaking, you are here listening, and you are asking the question. So that is clearly there that we are the individual soul. And Krishna says in chapter 2, "O Arjuna, all the living entities that you have seen here, they have existed from time immemorial. I am there, you are there, we are all eternal." So there is this Kshetragna. We are the soul sitting within the heart, and we are also the enjoyer. But there are Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We are the minute enjoyer.
No.
And
So one second, Prabhuji. If you see that he says Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi. Mam means I am vidhi. I'm like Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata.
yeah, because he is
Kshetreshu
saying that
Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi. I am the Kshetragna, he's saying. He's not like you are the Kshetragna. I am the Kshetragna, he's saying.
yeah, he is that verse is to tell that he is a Kshetragna for all the
Yes.
bodies.
Yes. So he is for you, for me, for everyone. He is the Kshetragna.
Yeah, so he says that so yet in this body there is another transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord. So why would he say that there is another? Upadrashta Anumanta means there are Anumanta small entity and there is the Upadrashta living entity. So this is also same. The Katha Upanishad also seems the same analogy, which is in every body there are two birds. One is the individual soul and one is the Paramatma. So
Yeah, so this is correct, Prabhuji.
so that shows that we are there, right?
Bhokta is the Parameshwara. So you just go once, like 22. We go to 22. I
But
think
this is 22 is not in the verse, but it might be in the previous presentation. But essentially, it clearly says that there are two, both the living entities that are there. One is the individual entity and one is the supreme entity. And it's also mentioned in the chapter 14.
yeah. So
One is
Prakriti.
fallible, one is infallible. Means one will come under the influence of Maya, other will not come under the influence of Maya.
Yeah, so we are Maya, right? Like our existence is, we think we are, because Purusha Prakriti sto hi bhungte Prakriti jan gunan. So we are situated in Prakriti. So I mean, which Prakriti itself is not what you say is the Maya, right? It's not like the ultimate truth. So that is the like reason, in the sense our existence is actually like what you say is not a real existence, but it's like we think
So,
ours is a real existence.
so that's why, like, this is where the difference in the school of thought comes. Some philosophers say that as soon as our karma is over, the living entity merges into the Supreme Lord and there is only Supreme Lord left. But Vaishnava philosophy says that the living entity, based on what Krishna said in chapter 2, the living entity will continue the existence in the spiritual world. We read in chapter 14 just now that we get the spiritual body and the individuality continues to exist. We become God-like. So the analogy we also discussed, where once a green bird enters into a green tree, people will think that okay, there is no more, everything is looking green, so it might have merged into the tree. But only if we go nearer, the bird is still there in the tree. And whether we can agree or disagree, that's the whole way. Our the way of understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is. That's what Prabhupada says is that whatever we take, it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that these two living entities exist. One is the supreme entity, one is the living entity. And once we go back home, back to Godhead, that service continues in the same mood. But of course, the we can't draw a boundary. Similarly, we can't say that, oh, a living entity, you cannot have this desire. If a living entity really wants to merge, yes, there is this Brahman liberation where they can merge into the eternal Brahmajyoti, where it is very difficult to discern from one living entity to another and the Supreme Lord. It is Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, right? So that's the explanation.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Good question.
Hare.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, we will say Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times and we close today's session. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
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 Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
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 Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा की जय,
Jai,
Jai,
श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की
Jai,
जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai.
All
Jai,
glories to Krishna, Hare Krishna. All
Hare
glories to Vaishnava
Krishna.
devotees,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
everyone. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.